放弃了我自己的初心，没有把组织赋予我的权利用在彩票事业的发展上，而是当成了自己谋取私利的工具。
Recently, the internationally renowned rating agency Moody's has changed the credit rating outlook for China from stable to negative, causing concern for the Chinese government. On December 5th, Moody's first downgraded China's sovereign credit rating outlook from stable to negative, warning that the debt risks of Chinese local governments and the crisis in the real estate industry are deepening. On the same day, Moody's stated in a press release that increasing evidence shows that the Chinese government has to provide more financial support for heavily indebted local governments and state-owned enterprises, posing a downside risk to China's fiscal and economic conditions. On December 6th, Moody's further downgraded the outlook for the governments of Hong Kong and Macau, 8 Chinese banks, 36 non-financial and state-owned infrastructure enterprises, and their subsidiaries, as well as the financing platforms of 22 local governments, all from stable to negative, with the credit outlook of China's 5 major state-owned banks also being downgraded to negative. On December 10th, senior media personality Yan Chenggu wrote a Facebook post titled, "When the Wall Collapses, Moody's Gives a Shout to the CCP," expressing that the ominous signs of the CCP regime are not recent. Moody's is sending a serious negative signal to the market, telling investors worldwide that China is not a safe haven, and it's better to run faster. The article argues that the Chinese economy is beyond salvation, not due to individual policy mistakes, but systematic policy errors. The predicament of the CCP regime is not a temporary and localized issue, but a structural one. The quagmire the CCP has fallen into is not a small one, but a bottomless and boundless abyss. The article points out that over the past 40 years, government officials at all levels, in their pursuit of resources and promotions, have cleverly created various projects, depleting all potential sources of funds for corruption at the local level. Massive redundant construction, unproductive investments, and relentless exploitation have left only an empty shell. Professor Xi'an from the Darla Moore School of Business at the University of South Carolina, analyzing for Epoch Times, believes that the CCP government is practically unable to effectively address the fiscal problems of local governments. Relying on printing money alone to cover the deficits will also lead to significant issues. Xi'an argues that a downgrade in credit outlook implies that international capital will accelerate its flight from China because of a lack of hope in China's prospects. Foreign investment in China will sharply decrease. Essentially, it's a severe blow to the Chinese economy, having a substantial negative impact. In fact, it's not just the Chinese government that has lost credibility. Various institutions and companies within China are also experiencing a trust crisis. Another Chinese real estate giant, Beilong Real Estate, with a debt of 163.6 billion yuan, has recently announced a debt default. The Shanghai-based real estate behemoth declared its inability to meet over $150 million in overseas debt. According to the announcement, the interest on the $159.16 million notes due in April 2025 should have been paid by October 30th of this year, with a 30-day grace period. However, as of November 29th, the payment had not been made, constituting a substantial default. Beilong Real Estate mentioned in the announcement that the company had made every effort, but it anticipates that its current and future debt obligations cannot be fulfilled with available cash and bank deposits. The company currently carries a total debt of 163.6 billion yuan. Beolong Real Estate went public in Hong Kong in 2009 and achieved contract sales of 101.2 billion yuan in 2021, positioning itself as a billion yuan level real estate development enterprise and ranking 43rd among China's top 100 real estate companies. In addition to the real estate news, there's a mention of a lottery winner in Jiangxi province who spent 100,000 yuan to buy lottery tickets and won a jackpot of 220 million yuan. The win has sparked suspicions and speculation about insider information, leading the provincial lottery center to initiate an investigation. Many people are questioning the legitimacy of the win, considering the substantial amount and the large number of tickets purchased by the lottery player. On April 12, 2023, the 23,092 drawing of China Sports Lottery Fujian 31-7 took place. In the drawing video, several winning lottery balls lingered at the exit for a few seconds before dropping. 5 lottery balls stacked up below the exit without sliding down the slope. The video has raised doubts among netizens, questioning whether there was any manipulation involved. On November 16, 2018, mainland China's welfare lottery underwent a scandal, with 14 officials implicated in a corruption scandal involving 136 billion RMB. Even the jackpot winners were suspected of fraud. The corrupt practices of the welfare lottery were exposed by Taiwan's media, Eastern Taiwan Financial News. The entire process of issuing and drawing lottery prizes, especially the selection of jackpot winners, has long been opaque, leading to discussions about how winners are chosen. Recently, these suspicions have reached their peak due to a major revelation. 14 corrupt officials collectively embezzled a staggering 136 billion RMB, all from the expenses related to this lottery. This astronomical figure has intensified the skepticism surrounding the welfare lottery, leading some to label it as corrupt lottery. The scale of corruption is indeed staggering. 14 officials embezzling 136 billion RMB is an exorbitant sum. This scandal unfolded because many officials, including the former directors or deputy directors responsible for overseeing the welfare lottery, were investigated. All of them came forward in front of the camera to confess, including former directors such as Bao Shuiquan, former deputy director Wang Yongge, former director Wang Suying, and Feng Liji. Feng Liji, in particular, was prominently featured in the public confession scene. In the footage, Feng expressed remorse, stating, "I abandoned my original intention, failed to utilize the authority entrusted to me by the organization for the development of the lottery industry, and instead turned it into a tool for seeking personal gain." Take a look, those who are interested. Let me tell you fascinating stories about Chinese lottery. After reading, would you still consider buying? When China applied to join the World Trade Organization, it also failed to keep its promises and lacked credibility. Xi'an. China's WTO commitments involve strategy, 2 types of commitments, 2 types of strategies. According to a report by Voice of America Chinese, current affairs commentator Xi'an stated that regarding China's commitments when joining the WTO, he thinks China played it very smart. Any commitment made in 2001 with clear numerical values has been fulfilled. For example, in 2001, China pledged that after 15 years, the import tariffs on goods would be below 9%. This is a concrete numerical commitment, and looking back now, China's average import tariff on goods is around 7%, lower than 9% as promised. However, where is the problem? I've been talking about this strategy. The strategy is that for commitments that cannot be traced, he basically did not comply. Let me give two examples. First, because when he joined the WTO in 2001, the commitment made was to the United States and all Western countries, promising to open all industries. For instance, the commitment included the banking and insurance industries. But after 20 years, how many Western banks and insurance companies can operate freely in China? Almost none. Because when they applied to enter the Chinese market, China used various reasons to reject them at the door. This commitment does not have a quantifiable aspect, so from my observation, China has completely violated the commitments made when entering the WTO. Hong Kong stocks have fallen nearly 20% within the year, with about 80 securities firms closing within 2 years. The Hong Kong stock market has been persistently sluggish for quite some time, and as of Monday, December 11th, the Hang Seng Index continued to decline, falling below the 16,000-point mark at one point, closing down 0.81% at 16,201 points. The Hang Seng Index has fallen by 19.58% year-to-date, making it the worst performing among major global stock markets. Data released by the Hong Kong Stock Exchange shows that 49 securities firms closed in Hong Kong in 2022, setting a historical record. In addition, 30 local securities firms have announced the end of their operations this year. Meanwhile, due to a significant decline in the Hong Kong IPO market, some banks on Wall Street have begun layoffs. Ryan Wong, CEO of Bright Smart Securities in Hong Kong, stated that this wave of securities, firm closures, and layoffs is the most severe he has witnessed. To change this situation, the key is to improve market liquidity. Everyone is struggling now, but there is no light at the end of the tunnel. International media generally believe that the implementation of the Hong Kong version of the national security law and strict COVID-19 prevention measures in Hong Kong are the main reasons for the continuous economic decline, escalating unemployment, and the prolonged slump in the stock market. There is growing pessimism about Hong Kong's economic prospects, to the extent that concerns have emerged on social media about Hong Kong potentially becoming the ruins of an international financial center. Another grand plan? Beijing and Shanghai suddenly open up in a big way. Former International Financial Center Hong Kong has almost lost its status, and the Chinese Communist Party is now attempting to align Shanghai with high-standard international economic and trade rules and implement what is called intensive opening in Beijing. However, commentators believe that these slogan-type measures are likely to become another empty promise made by the authorities. On December 8th, the Information Office of the State Council of the CCP held a regular policy briefing introducing the so-called systematic opening that will be implemented in the Shanghai Free Trade Zone to align with some high-standard international economic and trade rules. The CCP has been trying to join international trade agreements such as CPTPP, Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, and DEPA, Digital Economy Partnership Agreement. However, these agreements have high thresholds for trade liberalization, which the CCP finds difficult to meet. For example, CPTPP prohibits providing subsidies that harm competition to state-owned enterprises, but in recent years, the CCP has been promoting state-owned enterprises at the expense of private enterprises. CPTPP requires parties to allow cross-border transfer of business-related electronic data, but the CCP, through the data security law, strictly limits companies from taking data out of China. To meet these high requirements, the specific reform measures piloted in the Shanghai Free Trade Zone include 7 aspects with 80 measures. Among them, the authorities prioritize accelerating the expansion of open services, stating their intention to promote high-level openness in key areas such as finance and telecommunications, enhance the facilitation of cross-border investment and financing, and support multinational companies in establishing fund management centers. Lawyer Lung Xiuhua, former chief compliance officer of a mainland asset management company, analyzed that this shows the Chinese economy is on the verge of collapse, and there are calls within the party to boost the economy. However, faced with the credibility crisis of the Chinese government, which is full of holes, will any international organizations dare to accept China as a member?